sewing friends. Today I'm here to share with you the results of my 2023 Make 9. So last January I made some sewing plans for the coming year, and I had chosen 9 garment types that I wanted to kind of focus on throughout the year. I had planned some patterns and some fabrics, but I was being pretty flexible, loosey-goosey on those, because I found that in the past when I've really tried to be super narrow about that kind of thing, that it was really easy to, yeah, to feel kind of claustrophobic in those plans, to go off and find other things that were important. But the garment type style really worked for me, I think. I got to experiment with some new patterns and kind of compare them a little bit, as you'll see in a bit. Now, despite there being a whole bunch of garments here, I didn't actually check off everything on my Make 9 grid list, but I did make multiples of different categories, multiples of the same pattern within a category. So I definitely learned a lot. I got to do a lot of sewing, and it did kind of keep me focused and centered sewing throughout the year without being too narrowly focused. So this was something that really worked for me, and I'm really excited to share with you a little bit about the garments, but also what I learned throughout the year. So I'll pop in a little picture of what my Make 9 grid looked like for 2023. I knew that I would want some dresses because I just love making and wearing dresses, but I knew I'd want to prioritize some separates. So the first row, the first 3 are dresses. So those were a boho dress, a pinafore, and then some shirring. So a shirred dress that was a technique I really wanted to try. Then on the next row we have tops, and I knew I'd want a pullover of some sort, some fitted t-shirts because that was heavily lacking in my wardrobe. You'll see I filled that gap. And then some blouses. That was another thing that I just didn't really have very much of in my wardrobe. Then the bottom row was for bottoms, and I knew I'd want a pair of joggers, some really cozy casual pants. I put a pair of flared jeans because I was really loving that style, and then an A-line skirt. So those were my 9 that I attempted. Now, I did not make a single pinafore, even though I had plenty of patterns and fabric in my stash. It just didn't happen. Yeah, it seemed like the times of year that I was excited about doing something like that, it just didn't happen. Yeah, life got in the way. My health really got in the way. I really wanted a pinafore for fall, but my fall was terrible. I was sick the entire time. So I didn't really do much sewing at the time of year that I would have wanted that. And kind of the same thing with the flared jeans. Those were another one that I just didn't get to. I have really great fabrics. I have a couple of patterns in my stash. They did make it onto my Make 9 for 2024. Like I said, I loved the style of a flare jean, so I actually went out and bought some, and my Levi's are great. I wear them all the time. They are getting to the point where I should probably have another pair in rotation, so I should get on that sooner than later. Anyway, so those are the 2 categories that no attempts were made. Did not check those off, but yeah, I made really good progress in the other categories. Now we're gonna start with dresses, and for that one, it was a lot less than I expected. As you can see, I've only got 2 to show you for 3 types of dresses. So between a boho style, a pinafore, and a sheared dress, I only have 2. So again, lots of these plans, the patterns, the fabrics, I have them in my stash, and I still want to make them at some point in the future, but they just didn't happen last year. Okay, so the first category was a boho dress. Now, I feel like I have a couple makes this year that I can kind of fudge into that category, but I will be honest that when I set that as a category, I had some pretty clear ideas of what I wanted for that look. And I really only made one dress that really fit kind of what I was thinking, and that dress doesn't exist anymore. So back in February, I made the Closet Core NYX dress from a really cool viscose crepe in a really gorgeous rusty color. And it just wasn't, it was the vibe. It was definitely very boho. And I love the idea of it. I used like vintage buttons. I love the voluminous sleeves. But yeah, I did not like the fit on me. I think it's a great look that other people are totally pulling off, but like it wasn't for me. So I have actually since then taken it apart and cut a blouse out of it that's currently in my to sew pile. But yeah, so that was really the vibe, like those kind of, that was a rust, but I have lots of other kind of those like dark, dingy colors, some really moody florals in my stash. And I would like to see them sewn up as like the Davenport dress from Friday Pattern Company, the Seamwork Meg. This one is the Tilly and the Buttons Mabel. So I think the Mabel does count for like boho shape, but it's not quite what I was thinking of in terms of like fabrication. I think it's nice. I like it. This is my first and only version I made last spring. I don't love the rectangle skirt, so if I make another one, I will definitely swap that out. I'm gonna see if maybe making this one a bit shorter feels a bit nicer to me. I don't really love the like long column skirt on my body, but I still think it's nice. It is something that I wore this summer, so that's great. And then the other one that I can kind of fudge into the boho dress category is this one here. So this is a refashion of a dress that I had made 2021, I think, where I like mashed up a bunch of patterns, but it still wasn't quite what I wanted. Actually, again, it had a gathered rectangle skirt. Didn't have any elastic at the waist, but it was, yeah, very gathered, very boxy, and I just don't like those rectangle skirts on me, so I took it apart, added the skirt from the Meg dress from Seamwork, and then I did the waistband that goes with the Meg, but instead of using the elastic channels, I sheared it just like I did for the Mabel dress, and I love how it turned out. It was super cute. So again, the bright yellow is not quite what I envisioned as boho, but I do really love how this one turned out. So like I said, no pinafores were attempted. I have none to show. So moving into the next category was shirred dresses. So I have a couple of repeats that I already talked about. Yeah, so I wanted to try shearing, and initially I was thinking a full sheared bodice like the Victory Patterns Sophia. But I was like, you know, let's just like start with something simple. That was when the Mabel dress came out last spring. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll get to try a bit of shearing, see if I like it, see what I think. And y'all, I don't like it. I don't like shearing. I find it so boring. It takes so long. And that was only to do like these two little waistbands and like a little bit on the sleeve here. That was it. And I just like, it's like, this is not fun for me. So I love the look of shearing and the like flexibility, the comfort. I think they're really great. But I don't think I'll be like jumping to make another sheared garment anytime soon. I think I will stick to like elastic and drawstring for that kind of like flexibility in the waist that I definitely value. But yes, I did do it. I did try it, and I do love both of these. Well, I really love this dress. This one I think needs some modifications, but I do love it like from here up. So I think we can consider that a win. So now we are into the tops category, starting with a pullover. Now, this is one where I thought that I would make multiple pullovers, whether they were like more sweaters or jumper, sweatshirt type things. There was a lot of room I could play with in there, but I ended up only making like the one thing in the whole year. But I'm quite happy with it. I reach for this all the time. I'm actually in the process of extending the sleeves. I'm going to add a cuff because they were just coming up a little short. I went with the Seamwork Amari, and I actually have a whole video about it, so I will just link that below and leave it at that. But yeah, I quite love this little pullover with the zip and my cute label that says, "I keep you warm." So next up is the onslaught of fitted tees. I can definitely say I checked off this category. There are 9 of them. Like, I could have just done a make 9 of t-shirts because that is how many I ended up making. So the first big chunk is of the Helen's Closet Dawson top. So I have made 6 of these last year in almost every view at this point, and I just love them so much. This is my favorite one. It is in a bamboo cotton jersey. Actually, this one, this light green, this blue, and then this is the same fabric, are all that same jersey. It is my favorite one to work with. It just like sits so nicely. Like, it doesn't cling like a viscose jersey, but it's not stiff like a cotton jersey. It's just like so nice, so great for a fitted tee. These tuck in so nicely like under skirts and with jeans. They're just so versatile. I wear these like definitely, I'm gonna say like maybe 5 days a week. One of my Dawsons is in rotation. This is my favorite one. I really like the elbow length sleeves and the scoop neck. So that is that one. I also have a cotton jersey version, but just something about it like doesn't quite sit right on me. I'm not really sure what it is, but this is the one I like the least. This is the black sheep of the group. And then I have a couple of mock neck versions. This one again is like the bamboo cotton, but this one is really cool. It is in a sheer chiffon mesh fabric, and it's actually like a lingerie making, like it's meant for like bras and underwear, but it works really well as a knit, and it is sheer, which is definitely outgoing a bit for me, but I definitely intended both of these to be worn under the pinafores that I did not make. So once I get around to that, I will have plenty of options there. Then I made a comfy tee from Pattern Scout. I've made this before, but this tee I don't quite consider a success. I still wear it around like layered up under things and stuff, but I was really bummed because I had at some point like made a bunch of modifications to the pattern and apparently never transferred them to the pattern piece. So I was sewing this up expecting to have like a perfectly fitted t-shirt, something that was gonna like look so perfect on me, and it's not like at all. It's really like bunchy in the shoulders and it's too long here. It's not the worst thing in the world to have like a not perfect fitting t-shirt, but like I'd done the work, you know, and just didn't like the follow through. It's always the follow through. So that's that one, a little disappointing. And then I have 2 Brigit tees, also by Pattern Scout. This was my first one, and I did some fitting. I learned some things after making this one that I applied to this one, which is one of my favorite makes from last year. I wore it as part of my Pride outfit when I went. I basically did Pride cosplaying as the gender fluid flag with the green and white on top, and then I wore a lavender skirt. It was super cute. So I really love those and will definitely be making some more in the future. So next up, I have a few blouses. Now, I definitely was intentional about putting blouses on my list last year because I just really didn't have very many at all. I was super lacking in the whole like tops category. I had boxy t-shirts and that's about it. And I was really wanting to move into separates. So I ended up making 5 blouses over the year, and I am really happy with them. Now, a few of these don't fit me anymore. They are a bit too big now. But these are my 2 that I made at the beginning of the year. They're both hacks of the Chalk and Notch Wren blouse. So this one, I changed the neckline, put in a V-neck. And this one I did, I removed the button placket and I used the neckline from the square neck top from Friday Pattern Company. And yeah, I really liked wearing both of these around. for both hacks, I use elastic. Oh, we're falling off here. I used elastic at the end of the sleeve rather than doing the lantern cuff, both because I kind of like this just like more casual puff sleeve view, but also because it's like way easier to sew. It cuts the sewing time of the whole blouse like almost in half to not do the cuff and the lantern and all of that. So I really liked both of these. They are, however, going to get tucked away now that I have shared them because they're just not my size anymore. If you've been with me for a while, you know that my size fluctuates quite a bit, usually in line somewhere with my health. So it's probably not the end of these, but they aren't going to be in my closet for now. The next couple, this is one of my favorite makes of the whole year. This is the Friday Pattern Company patina blouse. I made it in a viscose twill, and I was a bit worried when I made this that I was looking a little too like 90s mom with these vintage buttons that I used and the really like relaxed oversizedness of it. So when I first made it, I wasn't quite sure, but then I wore it all the time, like throughout the whole year. It's one of my absolute faves, so I love this one. Then I also made this Helmy blouse from Forget Me Not Patterns, and I think it is so cute, but I didn't use the right fabric. This is a cotton poplin, and it's just too stiff, and I pretty much never reach for it, even though I love the look on me. And then try to put, oh my gosh, okay, hangers. This is a bad idea. Okay, the last one that I don't actually have any pictures of. I suppose I could put it on for you, but I love this. This is the Madu top from Seamwork. I wore this all summer. I really like it. My only hang up about it is that it is a little bit sheer. This is a flat cotton gauze, so it has a really nice texture, but it's not like that crinkly cotton gauze, but it's still really like light and airy, but also kind of, I don't know, it's just like the best fabric. I love it so much. However, because it's a bit sheer, I have a hard time, I don't have a great bra to wear with it. I need like a nude t-shirt bra. So this one doesn't get as much wear as it could. Hopefully by this summer I will make a new bra purchase into something that I can actually wear with this because it is so cute. Okay, so I moved things around, so hopefully I won't be like faffing with hangers now. So now we're into the bottoms category. I have a lot less to share of that one than the tops for sure. But so the first one was lounge bottoms. So I wanted some like track pants, some cozy pants, and the two patterns I was thinking of back in January were the Closet Core Plateaus and the Pattern Scout Comfy. And I ended up making both. So these ones go with the tie-dye sweatshirt, and then this matches the comfy t-shirt that I made, even though that was not like the best. So I have a full YouTube video on these, so I won't talk about them too much, but I love them. I also really love these, and I've gotten so much wear out of them. I actually need to do some stain removal. I wore these on Christmas Eve while I was cooking, and yeah, there's some bad things happened. So I'm looking for some stain removal there, but I wear them all the time. I think they're a really great kind of combination pants. I can wear them out if I want to for like errands and stuff, but they're also super comfy and cozy for napping on the couch. So definitely love both of those and see more loungewear in my future. I think the next category was flared jeans. I've got nothing to show for that, but the last one was an A-line skirt, and I did make two of those using my favorite skirt pattern. So these are both the Natalie from Forget Me Not. They have a button down front, and they are a paneled skirt. So there's, I think, like 8 panels that make up the skirt for a really nice A-line. They've got slash pockets. I love everything about both of these. I will say This one gets a lot of wear and this one does not. So for both of them, I made these like at the beginning of the year and my size has changed a lot. They do have belt loops, so I can kind of like cinch it in, but it gets a little bulky on the corduroy version. And I also just find that it doesn't quite go with a lot. I don't find myself reaching for it and trying to make outfits out of the corduroy version, whereas this one I want to wear all the time. It is a stretch wool. It is super warm, it is perfect in the winter, and it is one of my favorite makes. So that is what I have made as part of my Make 9 goals from 2023. I am really happy with how it turned out. I did not check every category, which I was tempted while I was super sick back in December to like try to rush through and like make a pair of jeans so that I could say that I did it to check it off when yeah, I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't do that. But I did have to talk myself off of that ledge. I think that the Make 9 kind of gave me a good opportunity to work on my perfectionism. That was one of my goals for last year, and I definitely cannot say that I've like made it, that I'm not a perfectionist anymore, and that I am like cured of all anxiety around being the best. That's not true. That's probably never going to happen. But I do think the way that I centered sewing in my life as a stage to practice letting go did really help me. And I think that I made some like tangible progress in that area. So yeah, not having checked off all 9 is a big win against perfectionism and like letting there be mistakes in the things that I made rather than unpicking and unpicking and unpicking and driving myself batty, pulling out my hair. Keeping that kind of tied to the narrative of like what I was sewing for the year was definitely a good thing. But then in particular, like with my Make 9, like that was just a really strong tie for me mentally, if that makes sense. Because yeah, I sewed a lot of like basic things for myself, which I really needed, especially as I like changed size throughout the year, as I'm sure I will change size again somewhere down the road. But I'm really glad, I'm really happy with my closet right now that I have lots of basics, lots of things I can mix and match. I'm really glad that I prioritized separates in my Make 9. Yeah, I was surprised that I didn't make very many dresses. I did make the one NYX dress, and maybe that kind of like colored things for me a little bit in the beginning of the year, but I don't think that's actually why. I think like, yes, that dress was kind of a fail, but I think I just really found that I was liking wearing separates and prioritize those. And I'm glad with that decision, even if it meant like I didn't check off some categories. Like I said, I learned that shearing is not really for me. I like the 2 dresses that I made, but I don't think I will continue much with that. Yeah, what else? I love loungewear. I think that's been really important for me. I talked about that pretty recently of how working from home, having chronic illness requires me to have comfy clothes a lot of the time. So that was a big win. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with my year of what I made. I didn't make as much as the year before. I definitely like scaled down a lot due to my health. But again, I think that those were good choices. And in the past, I might have like tried to force myself to like do more, be more, post more on social media. But again, like it was healthier for me to step back and accept it. And yeah, to be happy with what I have made. So I hope you enjoyed my kind of quasi wardrobe journey through my Make 9 experience from last year. So even though this is more than 9 garments, this like community challenge or process did make up like the bulk of my making from 2023, and having these categories did really keep me grounded about what I wanted and needed for my wardrobe. Like I said, particularly like the t-shirts and the blouses are things that I had a really big gap in my wardrobe for. And so now I have lots of t-shirts, lots of blouses, mostly that fit me, and I'm really happy to have them in my wardrobe. I was really surprised that I don't make more dresses because that's usually what I love making and wearing, but prioritizing separates, prioritizing loungewear has been a really great thing for me. So yeah, I learned quite a bit from my Make 9 for 2023, and I would love to hear from you if you did a Make 9 and what you learned, because the learning part is what matters. Like whether or not you check the boxes or whatever, it's totally irrelevant. Like, is it that you learned that having sewing plans is just not for you? Like follow your creativity in the moment. Or if you like made something on your Make 9 that was like, actually, I learned this type of garment isn't for me, or I absolutely learned it was for me and I want 5 more. Like I love to hear that kind of stuff. And it kind of can seem like Make 9 is a requirement in the sewing community, and I just want to say it's absolutely not. I had a lot of fun planning my 2024 Make 9 and doing a video about that, and then discussing this one, of course. I think it's really like fun to talk about, but it's absolutely not a requirement. If you're someone that there's like, that doesn't work for me, you could maybe try an alternative. There's like kind of like a sewing bingo or sewing for a season. Lots of different ideas out there. Or if you're just like, nope, I just want to sew without plans, wherever my creativity takes me, I'm going to be in the moment. Like that is so valid. And there is totally like room in the sewing community for every kind of sewing practice. So I just wanted to say like, yes, there's a lot of content around right now about Make 9s, but if it's not your thing, that's totally cool. If it is, let me know what's been on your list, what you made or didn't make last year, what you learned. Yeah, I would love to hear from you, love to talk about it. And yeah, I think that is all for me today. I can hear my voice like getting a little raspy, so it is time to go. Thanks for sticking around for this long. I know it was a long video. Hopefully you were having a nice snack or working on a sewing project. But yeah, I will be back soon with something. I'm not sure with what, but yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. And until next time, happy making. Bye.